Друзі, всім вітання.
Dear friends, greetings everyone. We've got two hosts. That was unexpected. I didn't expect that. Greeting, Nastya.
Друзі,
Dear friends,
да, розумієте, це той момент, коли
as you understand this moment, that is a moment when you want to be the moderator, 3 months of preparation for hackathon, you want to speak, but somebody else is trusting to push you off it. My name is Anastasia Selenok. I'm the co-founder of the Digitizing Space. Alongside me, I've got Anastasia Sleptsova, also co-founder of Digitizing Space. We're happy to greet you wherever you are, in any part of Ukraine, part of Europe, of the world, wherever you are. We're really happy that thanks to the armed forces of Ukraine, we have this opportunity, at least to be with you online, to greet you online, and to do cool, awesome projects, and to support our motherland, and work to the benefit of our victory. Dear friends, we're gathered here today. We'd like to talk about Hackathon. The story of this project is very relevant to the things that are happening in the world throughout the past 3 years, especially what's relevant to the thing that's happening in Ukraine this year. We started this project in 2020 during a raging pandemic. We challenged ourselves, we challenged the creative project. We wanted to unite, to create amazing projects. Many of these projects are still alive and prosperous. And in these difficult times for Ukraine and for the Ukrainian people, we wanted to continue this story. We'd like to give this push to the creative cultural industries to show them a different side of technology. We'd like to show them how can you work on the cultural front and do everything you can to make our victory come as soon as possible. So Nastya, you're really tense. I'm located in Kyiv. Nastya, where are you located? I'm in Latvia, in Riga. So we have a multicultural, multi-country collaboration we've got here going on. Please tell us about your feeling towards this project. I think it's our joint child. We started digitizing space from this, and in general, that is an amazing, eventful, emotionally charged project. Please tell us about your relationship with the project. Thank you, Nastya. Thank you for an inspiring introduction. Second of all, I'd like to say that you're really beautiful, not only today, but always. We can see who has been preparing for this event. You're really festive. Leptova says, yeah, I've received the new Vyshivanka, so I decided to wear it. Leptova says that for me, this project, something special. First of all, that was the first project that we've made for the cultural and creative industries. And this audience is really close for us. We've been working with this audience 3 years in a row. Previously, me and Nastya, we have a technological background. Let's put it this way, we've started this cultural project from this one. So this project, that was the beginning of our cultural career. This year, when we were planning to have this type of edition, we wanted to make it different. In fact, we did not expect such a popularity, such a response. Thank you for your support. It's really inspiring for us. We decided to make this event NFT focused. We'd like to talk about the blockchain technology. We'd like to give you new instruments in this area. I leave the moderation. I think I'm going to stop moderating right now. We got an interesting program. Tomorrow we'll have an educational program for beginners that I will be moderating. It will be an integral part of the entire hackathon. This hackathon is really different. We call it this educational online marathon. First, we'll be educating ourselves. With this knowledge that we get, we'll be hackathon, doing interesting digital art. We'll be minting these incredible NFTs that might allow us to purchase important things for the armed forces. For example, Bayraktar, says Anastasia Selenuk. So I'm going to leave the floor to Nastya. Thank you, Nastya. I'm going to leave the floor to awesome speakers. Hopefully they will inspire you to work during Hatathon 3.0 NFT Edition. Thank you, Nastya. Says Anastasia Selenuk. Since we started talking about the topics, I'll say a couple of words about this. The topics is Ukrainian past, present, future. We are doing creative things in these types of areas. And also we've got 4 categories: video animation, visual art, photography, and music. We'll speak about that in detail. We have pre-planned in the program. I will talk about that in more detail. If you have any questions, write down in the chat. We've got a broadcast in Ukrainian, in English. It's going to be on YouTube, on Facebook. So once again, welcome to Hatathon 3.0. So let's move forward. Right now, I'd like to introduce Christian Diemer, head of the House of Europe program that is being implemented and funded by the EU, by the European Commission. So we're giving the floor to Mr. Christian.
Hello, I'm Christian Diemer, head of the House of Europe program. It's good to see you again, I should say, because we are holding Hatathon for the 3rd time, and many may know House of Europe, may even know me already. Nonetheless, as in previous years, a few words on who we are to start with. We are a 12 million euros EU-funded program. We are connecting Ukrainian professionals with their colleagues in the EU and UK. We do so through funding and learning opportunities and through information on the many EU and EU member state opportunities out there. And that's it already with what is the same, because all the rest is different. When we, House of Europe, started in 2019, there was a war in Ukraine, a war that Russia had waged, though never declared, since 2014. We knew what Russia was after, or at least we must have known. And yet we had hoped to work with Ukrainians on joint projects of the future rather than jointly withstanding an assault straight from the Stone Age. In the first weeks after the start of Russia's all-out war against Ukraine, we, House of Europe, together with the European Union, repurposed up to 1.5 million euros of our budget. We started procuring emergency supplies and protective gear to keep Ukrainian professionals alive. We've offered emergency stipends to our alumni. We have more than 1,000, among those many from creative industries. We have funded and are funding the evacuation of cultural heritage, which Russia seeks to destroy. We have supported and are supporting initiatives by which Ukrainian civil society so impressively and resiliently withstands Russia's attempt to crush it. And we don't stop there. We will stay at the side of Ukraine's creative industry, not just by providing emergency support, but also by providing opportunities for funding, learning, networking, and internationalization. Because artists are not just dying at the front, they also keep being alive and keep being artists. And cultural managers are not just procuring humanitarian supplies or running shelters. They do that, but they also keep facilitating culture on war, in the middle of war, despite of war. And here's where Hatathon comes in. The first Hatathon, as many of you may remember, was the flagship project of our COVID response. A few weeks into the pandemic, in April 2020, we put together with the EU, a response package of 800,000 euros and thought, together with the Goethe-Institut, that what culture professionals now need more than ever, and apart from money, is new alliances, especially with the IT and business side, enabling them to adjust to the new realities, to the challenges, for example, by finding digital formats or ways of collaborating with one another remotely. We held another Hatathon last year, well, because the first one was fantastic. And also because we felt there still was not enough transdisciplinary links between artists on the one hand and IT and business people on the other hand, in both directions. And then many of you told us that they had already noted a third Hatathon in their calendars at a time when we didn't even know whether we would have one. And now we are here, and that's such a déjà vu, though a déjà vu which we wished we had never experienced. And in fact, even more than that, it is weird to be saying that, but many, including ourselves at House of Europe, benefit from the learnings of the pandemic, the crisis that had triggered the Hatathon 1, and the crisis that now feels like a child's play in comparison to the one that we are living through now. Anyways, we have learned our way of working with one another remotely. And anyways, when the war started, it soon became clear that those times, Russia's war, called for another Hatathon. Not the Hatathon where we are sitting at home because of the pandemic, but the Hatathon where our home itself is under attack and needs our defending and protecting. You're all well aware that Russia's war is not just about conquering Ukrainian territory. It aims to erase Ukrainian identity and heritage to crush Ukrainian creativity, innovation, and prosperity, to silence Ukrainian voices anywhere abroad. And that is why it is so important that right now we have Ukrainian voices recorded, represented, heard, and sold abroad. NFT, which this hackathon is dedicated to, will be a tool, a protective gear, if you want so, at hand to make Ukrainian culture seem even more resilient and enduring, and to make them, their heritage, their reflections on war, their vision of a post-war, post-victory future, more seen, heard, and understood abroad, and to generate them revenue in a time when it is most needed. It's an honor to be opening the third edition of the Hatathon. I wish you, despite of all odds of the circumstances, exciting upcoming weeks and the maximum possible input, outcome, and maybe also income. Many thanks to the European Union, to the Goethe-Institut, to the House of Europe team, and in particular to Ilona Demchenko, and to Digitizing Space for making this possible. And thank you for registering, participating, and being on that together with us. Let's defend the cultural front. Welcome to Hatathon 3.0.
Дякуємо, Крістіан.
Thank you, Christian. It was an inspiring speech. In fact, I keep remembering what happened 2 years ago when we just got frozen during the pandemic. We didn't know what to do, didn't know how to cope with it. How do you act? And right now, no matter how cynical it might sound right now, I think that the pandemic has made us resilient. It has prepared us for the full-scale invasion of Russia against Ukraine. So I do believe that if it wasn't for the pandemic right now, quite possibly we would have been in more chaos than we are right now. For me, Hatathon, it's a symbolic story. Just like Christian said, we didn't know, will we continue? Will we have this Hatathon 3.0? After the February 24th, we are weighing towards thinking that it's not going to happen, but we are happy that Hatathon is happening. We're more happy that that you have registered. Since the start of the pandemic in 2020, it was the first online hackathon, and this is the biggest hackathon in Ukraine. Nobody has surpassed us, at least by the number of registrations. Only we have surpassed us. Yesterday, last year we had like 1,200 registrations. Right now we have approximately the same amount. We're expecting many projects from you, and what we can see in Slack, the Hackathon Slack has been living for 3 years now. We have more than 3,000 people participating there who are walking this sphere. Right now we have this tendency when the winners of the first Hackathon are becoming our mentors and continue cooperating with us in a different realm. So, like Nastya has mentioned, we have lots of speakers, thrilling people that we have invited for them to share their contribution, their knowledge with you, and of course, for them to inspire you to be creative, to participate, to listen to this NFT educational program. So right now, I'd like to give the floor to the Deputy Head of Digital Transformation on IT sphere development, Oleksandr Borniakov. He's going to share his experience about the NFT, in particular about the NFT fundraising during the times of war of Russia against Ukraine. Oleksandr, the floor is yours.
Я нічого не чую.
Олександре, привіт. Да, поговоріть нам щось.
Greetings, Oleksandr, says Anastasia Selena, the moderator. We thought that we thought you abandoned us. I apologize. I was a little bit late. It's okay, said Anastasia. It's Monday. We don't have anywhere to run to, the first day of the week. I'm going to give the floor to you. I've introduced you. I've talked who you are. So you can focus your time on the essence. I believe that you have a presentation. We have your presentation. We understand we're not the Ministry of the Digital Transformation, but we're something closer to that. I'm going to give the floor to you. Let's launch the presentation.
Зараз ми дізнаємось, прямий ефір обожнюю просто. Так, презу запустили. Хто запускає презу? Скажіть мені, будь ласка, є.
І коли перемикати, треба мені казати тоді наступний слайд, да?
Да.
Я буду просто тоді
жестом показувати.
Да, ну я буду просто казати наступний слайд, і тоді ми, якщо можна, так.
Давайте, добре. А я вас поки покидаю. Да, віддаю вам стейдж.
So I'm going to give the floor to you, Oleksandr.
Так. Ну, я вже можу починати, да, чи?
Can I begin? Yes, I can. Okay. Greetings, everyone. As I've been told, my biography has been mentioned, so let's jump right into the next slide. So I'll start by saying that since the start of the war, we've created this crypto fund that raised around $60 million. Why is it interesting? First of all, it's the largest fund in crypto. It's still raising funds. Around this fund, we've created a special system of NFT project. It all began when people started donating NFTs. We saw that, noticed that since the first days of the project, and the total amount is 300 plus. More than 300 NFTs have been donated to us. We observed that people support us in various ways. After that, in the next slide, you can see what is the ecosystem that has developed for us. I remember one project talked to us. They told us we'd like to make an NFT collection, support us. Then the total number reached 20 projects. That in this slide you can see the major partners, major projects that we decided to support. We've been analyzing thoroughly every project. We've talked to people that wanted to understand what are their goals, what is the idea behind the project, is it worthy of our attention. We do realize that these people are helping to raise awareness about the things that are happening in Ukraine, about the military aggression of Russia, about the war of Russia against Ukraine. It involves crypto blockchain, NFT community, and the total number of funds raised is more than $1 million. The project that you can see in this slide, well, the match history I'm going to speak later on. Russia for sale, for example, they have raised a couple of $1,000, tens of $1,000s. They wanted to sell separate regions of Russia, cities of Russia. This funny idea has become rather popular. At the same time, we had some projects that were, from the point of view of art were extremely incredible, but they didn't raise as much funds. I'll talk about it later, but let's say not everything that looks good will give you confidence that it will be popular and that it will be sold. Next slide, please. I've said previously that these projects have raised a large sum of money. I think the biggest project, Meta History Museum, was the project that raised more than $980,000. It depends on the Ethereum exchange rate. Holy Waters raised around 20 Ethereums. Popcorn for Ukraine, 7.5 Ethereums. And in total, please check the next slide. You can see one of the donations that we have received, CryptoPunk. We thought maybe that it's not an authored idea, it might be fake. We checked it, rechecked it. Yes, it's an original thing, an original object. It's valid. We made an auction and we sold it for 90 Ethereums, which equal to around $100,000. In the next slide, you can see the example of how Russia for Sale looks, the project that I mentioned previously. Next slide, please. I'd like to focus my attention on this project because we believe that out of all of the projects that we have seen, this one is the most impressive for us. I believe that Lera will speak in more detail after me, but in my point of view, how this idea was presented, this concept, I think this concept has become the decisive factor in the success of this project. I believe this is a great success. And when you see more than 20 projects, you also compare not the looks of the artwork of the project, but what is the idea of the author? What is the value of this project? What is the utility? Not even utility, but artwork is not the most important part. We need to understand clearly what is the target audience, what is the value of the project, what kind of emotions this project will call in these people. In my opinion, I think this meta history of museum is an example of this combination of a brilliant concept with perfect art. At that, I think I'm going to give the floor to Valeriia, who is going to speak in more detail about the project itself. Thank you. You've missed me. Somebody is pushing me away from the air, said Anastasia. I bought this cool vyshivanka. I've put a good lipstick and nobody is allowing me to moderate normally. I've prepared my entire story about Valeriia, about the coolness of the project, how fascinated we are about the fact that it's going to be a good inspiration for the participants. We know about this project, we love it, we support it. I'm not going to speak about that. I apologize, says Oleksandr. I didn't know. I didn't want to steal your thunder, but you have. I'm joking, of course, dear friends. I believe that the fact that so many people in bad Facebook. You should not joke. It's not relevant to joke, smile, do project. It's not relevant, not tolerant. And create projects like this is not relevant. I believe, says Anastasia, everything that's happening is relevant. It's helping us to make our victory come faster. Valeriia, I think you're going to continue with Oleksandr's presentation, right? We'll have a change of scene and we'll come back to the presentation.
Так, я тоді можу йти, так? Це дуже було приємно, я перепрошую.
It's been a great pleasure, says Oleksandr. See you.
Так, видно, чутно.
Can you hear me? Can you see me? Yes, we can see you. We can hear you. We'll focus on you, dear friend Valeriia Panina. I even had that you're an engaged office of the digital. You're gonna be the partner from the Office of the Digital Transformation. You're gonna continue the presentation started by Oleksandr. Next slide, please.
Я, як Анастасія сказала, залучена експертка офісу.
I'm the expert of the Ministry of Digital Transformation. That is the Department of the Digital Economy. When the war broke out, I've focused on coordinating NFT projects. Meta History is a unique project when the state, community, and business have united for one goal. Next slide, please. Quite instantly, in the office, we've decided that we need to use every way to raise awareness, in particular, the NFT sphere, because we've got this powerful community. That is the topic, which is very relevant and popular. We had two options: create a project from scratch or support an existing project. We decided to select option 2. I was lucky because I belong to a number of technical and art communities. Crypto art community will have moderators and mentors from this crypto art community. We've seen that we have this idea, this crystal clear idea of meta history. We decided that we're going to unite around this idea and we'll support it. We have 8 different partners from security sector to infrastructure, implemented so that these donations can be used. Meta History Museum. I don't know in which country, whether there was any president. What I've said, it all happened within a span of a couple of hours. So many different organizations, they united so quickly around one idea. Meta History Museum, the goal, the Meta History Museum has 2 goals. First, to raise awareness about war and raise funds for charity purposes. The major idea boils down to the fact that manuals can be burned down and rewritten, but these records in the decentralized databases cannot be destroyed. Russia, for many years, for hundreds of years, Russia has been destroying Ukrainian culture, language, rewriting history, rewriting textbooks. And right now, for the first time in history, we've got this opportunity to use technology to preserve information in unchangeable form. That's why the central part of the museum is Warline. That is the list of the events of war. Every item contains a fact it's a tweet from confirmed sources and then reflection of the artist, that is the illustration, the art of the artist that describes these events from the perspective of the artist. Thanks to meta history, that was the first project, I must say, that the office supported. Then we had lots of other projects. Every project has had their own idea, unique idea, and in general, out of 60 million, because the currency change has changed, NFT has raised more than $1 million. That is a big precedent in the world, because previously it was popular that
arts and games, but NFTs are not all about arts and games. Це, зокрема, буде мати довготривалий позитивний.
NFT will have a long-term positive impact on what is called adoption. That is an example when a technology can save lives, because the funds raised go to humanitarian support, military support, depending on the project, and they do change the history. The course of history is being changed by this project. It's changing, the world is changing rather quickly. First of all, we need to understand that every NFT project should be relevant. It means that it should reflect the things that are happening right now, should be context sensitive. When the war broke out, of course, we didn't have any crypto fund, we didn't have any NFT project that would aim at war efforts. Thanks to that, we're able to raise such an awareness that we've done. We've covered from the United States, Japan, Asia. That will be remembered. That is a project that we didn't ever want this project to be born, but we are here. But if we're here, we need to do it and do it loudly. Any good NFT project should contain idea, a mission, how to check it. If you can explain it in one sentence, and that would make sense, it works. In startup industry, it's called an elevator pitch, something that when you tell about your idea while you're riding from the first floor on the 15th in an elevator with a person, the person that you'd like to pitch your idea, you have to speak about your project in a couple of sentences. I suggest all the participants to start working on your project from this elevator pitch in 30 seconds or less, one sentence, good, well-measured sentence that would describe your project in the best way possible. You should be context sensitive. We have lots of charity NFT projects. It characterizes us well, characterizes our country as technologically advanced, but at the same time, the context has changed compared to the things that used to be almost 5 months ago. That's why we need to think how your project will look in the background compared to the existing projects. The project should have the vision for the future. Our victory is closer than ever before. A good, well-measured NFT project from the beginning to end has a timeline, and it's context sensitive and adaptive to the context. For example, meta history will end by the tweet for victory of Ukraine. You should have the same thing. We should understand what is your destination for you to be able to create and work on new stages. And every stage is a new press event, a new awareness raising event. Everything should be consistent and consistent with your vision for the future. Every NFT project has 3 components. Technological component, the mentors will speak about that. They'll will have more technical expertise than I have. This possibility to build up a smart contract, add some functions, for example, where the funds are going. In meta history, from the first sale, it goes to the crypto fund, aid for Ukraine, and from the new purchase, part comes to this fund. Then what are the characteristics of this token? How they interconnected? How they're interacting? Can you conduct auctions and so on? Second component, informative component. I include art, I include idea, how it's expressed, how it's being communicated. And a separate component is monetization. It's related to the technological component, but you can analyze it from 2 points of view, how to do it and what to do. It's very important to take into account the fact how the NFT, whether it's going to be based on donations, sales, what would be the design of those. It also affects the implementation of your idea. For example, the project, they give a share, they send just a portion of the funds to send for charity. For us, I'm a coordinator from the Ministry of Digital Coordinator. I'm also part of this core team. Throughout the first month, I've been actively working to engage all of these partners. It was my function to make this project happen. All it affects the general picture. So we've decided that we're principled, we work pro bono, and 100% of funds are sent to the fund. So it's publicly communicated to all the audiences. Ilona, please. That would be all that I wanted to say. I want you all to remember that victory is one day closer, but we need to work hard for this victory. I'll be happy to meet you during the mentorship sessions. Thank you. Valeriia, we're extremely grateful for your story. You are one of the mentors. We will definitely see you. Not we, but the participant will see you, definitely. I will focus on the fact that mentors are being booked really fast. You have to book them in advance, but mentors like Valeriia, their time is limited, so grasp your... I do believe that her time is limited, so please jump into the bandwagon. Thank you, Valeriia. I'm letting you go and see you during the mentorship sessions. Thank you. Thank you. See you soon. So, dear friends, we have some time. We've left some time to talk about the hackathon. You asked many questions related to your creative projects, what's where, when. All the information is published on our website. Also, every participant should have their guidelines. I'd like to focus my attention that the hackathon is in Slack. That is the communication platform that connects us, mentors, you, and the organizers, and every stakeholder involved in this event. Now let's speak about the major program and the timelines for you to add it to your calendars, not to miss any important things. First of all, I'd like to speak about the topics of the hackathon. First of all, Ukraine past, present, and future. That is the main topic for us. What do we include in this topic? Past is our heritage, our culture, our history and cultural heritage. Present, it's documentaries, photos, rethinking through art, music rethinking of the events happening right now, and then future visions for the future, what Ukraine should be, the way Ukraine will be after our victory. Right now, you have a wonderful opportunity, unique opportunity for you to join Hatathon with your artwork and create an NFT. Or you can produce some creative idea. I think lots of people who have registered but don't have any creative ideas, you can join an existing team, or you can invent your own NFT. You'll have 2.5 days. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we'll have the first part of our online marathon. That's going to be an educational part. Tomorrow and we'll have two types of lectures for beginners and for advanced participants. We will be introduced to the NFT technology. We'll see what it is, what's blockchain, what's smart contracts, how it all works. We'll speak in detail. We'll dig deeper into some things that Valeriia has mentioned previously. I am sure that if you attend these lectures and listen to our wonderful speakers, you will have new ideas, you'll be creative, you'll cooperate, you'll have collaborations, and as a result, you will be successful. In addition, a significant change of this iteration of the hackathon is that we allow individuals to participate. If you don't have a team and for some reason you don't want to seek a team, you can participate as an individual. You can create some ideas, or you can take already created idea and mint it and present it, produce your creative idea to us. We have criteria of evaluation. Let's focus our attention on this. We will use this criteria, and the jury will evaluate your works based on a set of criteria. We got 5 criteria. For every criteria, you get 5 points. And based on averages, you'll see the tournament table. We'll select 10, 15. We'll see creative ideas that will be presented live on the 23rd of July. Another new thing for this hackathon, maybe if you've participated, we asked you to record a video. This year, we will focus on presentations. We've asked our wonderful team leaders and mentors to help you with this elevator pitch. It's going to be not an elevator pitch. It's going to be, this elevator pitch is going to be for 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes, you'll be able to present your creative idea and speak, what are you going to do with it? What are your plans for it? What are your further steps? What are the essence of your project? Whether you have a marketing strategy, and also whether it's going to be relevant to the topic. I think that would be all. I think I have 2 minutes left. For example, to answer your questions, let me check all the chats where I'm gathering the questions. I don't see any questions, and I always say that's a very peculiar thing. First of all, if there are no questions, it's either super awesome and understandable, or if there are no questions, everything is bad and incomprehensible. But dear friends, I'd like to highlight again, we've got this educational program. If you don't have time to attend us for the educational program, we'll have recordings and you can watch them when you're free from your casual work. I'm being informed that we have now next speaker. We've promised you amazing speakers. Right now we have Jonas Lund, is a conceptual artist from Sweden. He's going to speak. He's going to tell us the origin of the NFT and how he, as an artist, how he works with NFTs. Let's see whether we have our conceptual artist with us. If he is, he's gonna start his presentation.
Так, Jonas.
Yes, we've got you.
Yes,
Say a
I
couple
can
of
hear.
words.
Hello.
Yeah, okay, so hi. So
Hey.
the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for joining me. I have no idea how many of you there are, but I hope there's lots. I will start by sharing my screen. Just bear with me for 1 second. Portion of the screen share, and then I can just align it this way, like that. And if you can't see it, make some noise, and then I will adjust it. Okay, good. So the plan is to do a very brief introduction on the technicalities of NFTs, and then do a little bit longer talk on a couple of works of mine over the last 4 years or something like that. Yeah. So we're just gonna get started. NFTs, lol, I don't know, dog face. Yeah, NFTs. So the first question is, what is it? Here's a long text that explains it. I will read it. A non-fungible token. Fungible means that it's exchangeable. Like think of a US dollar or a euro. 1 euro coin is the same as another euro coin. That's fungible. So non-fungible means in some sense unique. It's a unit of data stored on a digital ledger called a blockchain that certifies digital assets to be unique and therefore not interchangeable. Not interchangeable. NFTs can be used to represent items such as photos, videos, audio, and other types of digital files. Here's the Wikipedia definition of an NFT with some fancy logos attached to it. A non-fungible token is a financial security consisting of a digitally data stored in a blockchain, a form of distributed ledger. The ownership of an NFT is recorded in the blockchain and can be transferred by the owner, allowing NFTs to be sold and traded. So a lot of the conversation about NFT is about selling, right? I have this slide here. It says blockchain, what certificate, what Web3, what's going on, what's a blockchain, what's everything. So I think to keep things simple and brief, we can describe NFTs as a way to introduce artificial scarcity in a digital medium. Artificial scarcity meaning digital files can be copied and copied and copied. This is somehow the value and point of digital files, right? But it makes it difficult to sell and trade because not one person can own it. It's not like, it's somehow seemingly that was the problem with selling digital artworks. NFTs solves this problem, not without its own little problems, but it somehow creates a potential for a market because you can verify and authenticate a unique version of a digital file, more or less. I think that's somehow what we have to understand. When they're talking about decentralized and distributed, it's interesting. Here's a graph of 3 different types of networks: centralized, decentralized, and distributed. Centralized means it's central, right? Like you have a center. Think of like Facebook or Instagram or Google. It's very centralized. It's like everything is in one place. Although it's spread around many different servers in the world, it's somehow one source of truth. Decentralized means that there's a lot of different nodes working together. Like, so you have there is no one center that can be disrupted or destroyed. It's spread around all over the globe. Distributed is similar in the sense that there is, in a distributed network, there's not even any sort of core nodes. Every node is equal to every other node. Doesn't really matter. The most important part is the decentralized. So it's like nodes in a network. Everybody can feel equally participatory. Here's a little graph, because there's a lot of talk of Web3, and one should be quite skeptical about a lot of the promise that anybody who talks about Web3 says, but here's a little graph that just describes the progress of the web. Web 1.0, which was the stupid web, which you probably are too young to remember, which was static read-only web pages like MSN, Internet Explorer. Web 2.0, which is somehow still the web in many ways and regards, which is the information-centric and interactive, the published web. It's easy to participate, social media, Netflix, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., Amazon Web Services. So the Web 3.0 means it's like the web of decentralization, user-centric, decentralized, private, and secure. That's somehow the promise of the Web 3.0. Whether it will actually go anywhere, we will find out. We will see. Potentially, maybe, who knows? Like, I think we will see later in my work that there's a lot of potential value in decentralization, to have a sort of distributed board, distributed community where you can feel agency in the network. But like, think of social media, right? Like Facebook or Instagram, you feel like you have very little agency in how the network actually operates, now the protocols work. But with Web 3.0, in the promise or the potential is that you can actually influence where it's going. But just a little bit more on the NFTs before we jump into my work. We have not a very long presentation, only 20 minutes, and we've already spent 5 minutes talking on NFTs, so we will continue. And please let me know if it goes too fast, but I think it's better to go too fast and then we wrap up later. The current sort of conceptualization of NFTs was sort of thought up by Kevin McCoy and Anil Dash in the 7-on-7 in 2014. This was the first time you sort of make a hash, like a verifiable, authentic version of a digital file on a blockchain. Later, this might become relevant during your hackathon, which is not a hackathon, but a hatathon. It could become relevant. This is the ERC 721 token standard, which is a token standard used on the Ethereum blockchain. Ethereum blockchain is one of the many blockchains on which you can release and distribute NFTs. The definition, the standard, is on Ethereum called a smart contract, which is a set of rules and functions that happen when you interact with the smart contract, which governs the NFT. The standard most commonly used for pretty much all NFTs, not all NFTs, but sort of the starting point for the standard is this standard, the ERC 721 token standard. It's just useful to know. I think might be a bit too complicated, although there's a lot of tools for how to make your own smart contract right now. Open Zeppelin is like the default source for smart contract production. Here's a very long text, which I think we're going to skip, which is someone describing what an NFT is I think it's on Tumblr, I'm not sure. It's just, it describes like a non-believer describing the sort of potential problematics of what an NFT is and what it isn't. In summary, it's in technicalities. When you buy an NFT, the question is like, what do you actually buy? What do you get as a collector? Because you do not get the intellectual property rights. You do not get the digital files. Rather, you get the sort of receipt of ownership of the digital file, which might be relevant or not for some. Here are more sort of backgrounds. In 2017, with sort of artworks, not artworks, but products, distribution works, projects using the Ethereum blockchain, early days. This was from 2017, called the Crypto Kitties, where you can own a Crypto Kitty, a cat, then you could crossbreed it with other Crypto Kitties, and then you can make new Crypto Kitties. In the same time was the CryptoPunks, which now has, of course, become super popular and sold for millions of dollars, which was 10,000 unique CryptoPunks, also governed on the Ethereum blockchain. And these days, more contemporary, which is from last year, which is the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which sort of gives rise to the PFP or profile picture NFT. So you buy an NFT and then you use it as your profile picture. The Bored Ape Yacht Club is quite problematic and it requires more research, but not for this short presentation. It's interesting to look into. I think this is much of the material that gives NFTs a sort of complicated reputation is anchored in the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I think it's really important, somehow for me at least, to consider or to think about NFTs as a very nuanced network, a nuanced community, not necessarily community, nuanced market, nuanced, complicated thing. There's a lot of nice things being made inside the NFT space. There's a lot of scams being made inside the NFT space. Many people will have a pretty binary opinion about NFTs. Like it's all great, it's all fantastic, we will all become millionaires, or it's all nonsense, it's worthless, it's a scam, etc. The truth is somewhere in the middle. You have both fantastic artworks and terrible scams. So one has to be quite clever in how one chooses to navigate this network, because you might get tricked, fooled by NFT scams, or you might find fantastic artworks, and it has everything. So it's certainly not so useful to be binary in one's opinion about it. Nevertheless, right now, like NFTs are sold and distributed and mediated through many different platforms. Some of the more famous ones is superrare.com, Nifty Gateway, artblocks.io, fxhash.xyz, which runs on the Tezos blockchain, which is a green blockchain, because there's a whole section on blockchain and environmentally friendly blockchains or not. And many of the NFTs, one of the central marketplaces for this is OpenSea, OpenSea.io, where you can search for different NFT series and artists and trade and sell. And it works on the Ethereum blockchain and on the Polygon blockchain. It's basically like a sort of like an aggregator that just collects all the different ideas of all the different types of NFTs and stuff. Okay, so that's it's almost 10 minutes, 11 minutes. We have 9 minutes left for talking about some of my work. That was a very fast introduction to NFTs. I'm just gonna share another screen, which is my browser. 1 second. Which is this browser. I'll just share my website, and I will show a couple of different projects that I've been working on over the years, engaging with decentralized technology, blockchains, NFTs, crypto in general. One of such projects is the Jonas Lund token. Jonas Lund token is a DAO. A DAO is short for decentralized autonomous organization, which is very common within the Web3 terminology. Jonas Lund token is a DAO that controls and influences Jonas Lund's artistic practice and life. It's all governed to the jlt.ltd website. And here it says more specifically, Jonas Lund token is a distributed, decentralized, autonomous artistic practice, that's a very long description, that aims to optimize and streamline the decision-making process in art production and the strategic decisions concerning a career path. The JLT shareholders, so you become a shareholder if you have the Jonas Lund token, which is an ERC20 token, so a fungible token on the Ethereum blockchain. The JLT shareholders participate in the decision-making process by casting votes on proposals and through discussion on this website. As the career path of Jonas Lund improves and his market value increases, so does the value of a Jonas Lund token, thus allowing shareholders to profit through dividends and potential sales of the token. So it's a distributed, decentralized advisory board that advises me on what to do in my artistic practice and life. Here you can see a couple of the different proposals. It's been running since 2018, so for four and a half years almost. Here's an example of a proposal, this submitted by a board member called Roel Wouters. At the moment, there's about 180 board members, and they all participate in varying degrees. Here's a proposal whether I should go on a sabbatical or not. A half-year sabbatical. Dear Jonas Lund token board, here's a proposal. In order for Jonas' mind and work to stay sharp, I propose a half-year sabbatical. During this half year, Jonas Lund is not allowed to participate in it. So it's a board member that proposes that I should go on a sabbatical for a half a year. And then the board members vote, and they luckily closed down this vote. It was not approved. It was with 58% of the vote. It was no way his artifacts ranking will be ruined. So this is one example. The board also determines sometimes what the artworks should look, such as in this example, which is an enormous Jonas Lund token, or like a fancy tagline like invest in Jonas Lund, or here in the case of a Jonas Lund token. But also this work exists in, so this is like distributing a fungible token, the ERC20. But the Jonas Lund token project has also distributed non-fungible tokens, has access to the other tokens. So it's a sort of convoluted way of getting tokens. Like in this case, the animals in this show were sold as NFTs. And if you bought one NFT from this series, you get both Jonas Lund tokens and the piece. So then you get both. So then there's the way to join this in and to distribute. We're almost out of time. Let's see. No, I have 6 more minutes. You can find, by the way, all documentation about these works on my website, which is jonaslund.com. I think it's easy to think. So clearly the work tries to find, sort of optimize decision-making and value production in an art world. Like how can you find the most strategic decision in any kind of context, and what is actually the methodology in how we produce value, how we create value, how we think about value, what types of values are we addressing. A more straightforward example of what one can do with NFTs is this, which is a smart burn contract. And it's on smartcontracts.host. And on the text it says, the owner of this NFT must donate 5% of their yearly profits to a charitable cause once a year in perpetuity. Documentation to be provided at https://smartcontracts.host to avoid having this NFT burned. So what that means in principle is that if the owner of this NFT does not provide proof on this website, here, you go to this link, provide proof. You have to put in your name, you have to pick your smart burn contract, your email, your Ethereum wallet address, and your proof. So here you have to type your proof. If you do not do that, I have the smart contract that's written for this project. I have access so I can remote destroy the NFT. I can basically burn it. And once it's burned, it doesn't exist anymore. There's like no trace left, essentially. So there's this like super burn function. So in this case, I have like a lot of the power to sort of impose the terms of this NFT onto the owner. So in principle, one can check here on OpenSea who owns it. Just move this away. So this is OpenSea, and then here you can check the smart burn contracts. It's owned by the Institute catalog, and so far, no. And here's are a couple of the other smart contracts. So here, for example, is one called the. Oh, sorry about that. The owner of this NFT must go on vacation for 2 weeks, once a year in perpetuity. In perpetuity means forever, basically. So as long as you're alive, you have to go on a 2-week vacation. Failure to do so will make this NFT go away. So it's a way for me to impose the contract's text, like the contract's terms on the owner, but also to create a sort of a longer lasting relationship with the collector. So like the collector needs to sort of engage in a dialogue with me in order to maintain the piece validity. Right? So there's a way, like in terms of NFT's usability here, in this case, the NFT structure and this nature of smart contracts, it's perfect for this artwork because it gives me all the power to essentially remote destroy our artwork. And when I've done physical works in a similar vein, it's much harder. Then you have to resort to something else. So it's a kind of quite interesting dynamic. I believe the smart contract is public, but I'm not sure. Maybe I could send you a link to that, just in case if it's valuable. If you want to make your own smart contracts and distribute it on the Ethereum blockchain, I think openzeppelin.com is the way to do it. Like you go here to contracts and you just, because they have like a click sort of way to go about it. You say like, perhaps, yeah, there is a wizard here. Yeah, and then you can just click in and say what you want, basically. It's quite simple. I think we have time for one more project, maybe, or not so much. How are we on time? Are we okay on time? I will just keep on talking. Okay.
Yeah, you can. We have 2 minutes, so
2 minutes, okay. So I have to summarize, basically. I'm not sure how to summarize. I would say, like, if there's any kind of takeoff from the whole NFT space, is to approach it with quite an open mind, because many people will tell you many things in a very particularly binary fashion, and very rarely is it accurate. Like, you have to think about different layers of communication, basically. Like, how do you manage to navigate this whole network? I would say.
Jonas, if I may, I would ask you one question from my side. How many years, months? I don't know. How much time are you in NFT basically?
How long? It's
Yeah,
like
how long?
with crypto, I've been like involved in making artworks with cryptocurrencies and blockchain since 2017, more or less.
Oh my God! So it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean the Jonas Lund token work is from 2018, but then I did a couple of works before which are not that popular. So yeah, it's been around for a while. I mean, simply at the time, the reason why the Jonas Lund token became an ERC20 token was because it was the best technology for distributing shares in a sort of open and public way. You know? Like it's not so much about the ideology of a decentralized autonomous organization, although that came later. But yeah, basically, yes.
Yeah, but you sound like very specific, and sounds like you know a lot of about this, about NFT and about art in it. So I think that for our participants, it's we highly recommend you to look at Jonas and basically do the same. Just to dig deeper into the technology and make some art and make some noise with your works out there. Jonas, thank you so much
thank you
for being with us, for jumping like so fast to our party. Thank you so much. We hope to. I hope that our participants will go to your website and basically look for look at your works.
Yeah, for sure.
And thank you for being with us.
Yeah, totally. And if there's any questions, you can just write me on email later.
That's we'll totally do. Thank you.
Okay. Great.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too.
Ciao.
Bye.
Отже, друзі, я
So, dear friend, hopefully you're having this cup of coffee, drinking it. We're applauding Jonas. I'd like to take 2 minutes of time, make the small timeout, and answer your questions that you're writing in the chat. Don't worry, we're reading your questions. Secondly, the topics might seem too complicated, incomprehensible, lots of specific terms, specific lexics. It's okay. I remember myself when I was doing my first steps in the IT sphere. I didn't know what landing page. It was a long time ago. It was shame on me, right? So I believe that with time, you'll be able to review our broadcasts. If you have any question whatsoever, you can. Also, I'd like to remind you that we have educational program. Every participant will have access to this educational program. If you cannot attend the online part, you can review them in record. Let me answer your questions. I have 2 more minutes for your questions. If you cannot join the Hatathon channel, please write Hatathon email, send a request. Our community manager, Natalia, will help you out. I have commentaries. It's a very specific topic. Be patient. We're working on this. Where can you book a mentor? You can book mentors starting July 14th. In your guidelines, you'll have a link to the documents or a table with all the mentors, experts that we have. Every team, every individual participant will have a number of team mentors, coaches that will be leading you and leading you to success. We have division between expert mentors and team mentors. Expert mentors, you can book as many as you might need to have great success with your project. We'll have 2 team mentors, 2 mentors per team. We will assign them. You don't need to look for them. The team mentors will be assigned by the organizer. How do you find a team? You can find it easily. In Slack, for a hackathon, we'll have intro channel. You write down who you are, your bio, and you say that you'd like to join the team. You also have this database and for projects and information. You have this info in guidelines. So you can see the projects and teams, and you try to engage and join these teams. Good commentary. If there is no talent to write a concept or express yourself in a good way, will you gain help? Yes, you'll have expert mentors, team mentors, talk to them, get in touch with them. You can listen both levels. I'm talking about the educational program. We'll write everything. Educational program for beginners and for advanced participants. It will be recorded. The links will be sent to the Slack chats. Join in. If you have any question whatsoever, you can join Slack or didn't find the guidelines or you've lost someone. If you are on Slack, write to Slack. Our wonderful Natalia, like a small superhero, she'll find, reply to any answer, she'll find the necessary person for you. If for some reason you don't have Slack, write to Natalia's email. Let's move forward. I'm over my time. The next speaker will forgive me. We'll have 5 more minutes to the speaker. We've got Pierre-Yves Desaive, is a historian, art historian, curator of the Royal Art Museum, professor of his person specializes in digital art. He's gonna speak about the place of NFT. He's gonna speak about the place of NFT in art, and will speak more about whether you face any challenges with selling art online. We remember the pandemic, how the blockchain affected us, and for what wider topics can you use NFT, for example, in environmental sphere. Pierre, are you with us? Let's wait for him.
Hi, Pierre.
Hello, how
Once
are you doing?
again. Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, great. I know that you have something to show us, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to
share your screen. Okay, so while you are doing that, I leave my virtual stage to you to present your work. Let's see how it works, and it works.
It works. Okay, that's great.
Yes. So the floor is yours.
Perfect. Yeah. So I would like to first, do some background about what we're talking about, the NFTs and crypto art. Just remind us that in the late 90s, when the internet arrived, well, artists already decided to take upon the internet and use it as a new medium. It was a new media, and they wanted to use it just like they had been doing before with video, with television, with fax, or whatever. It's a new technology, it's a new information technology, and right away you have artists to use it. So this picture goes back to 1997, the simple net art diagram, or the art that happens here, which is the art that happens online. So let's say that the net art, the art related to the internet, really goes back to the mid-90s. Yet if I tell you about Oleksandr or Alexei Shulgin or Vuk Kozik, all these artists, or Kees Bunting, the pioneers of the net art, they're very unknown today. This is a screen capture from a text by Steve Dietz. He's really a theoretician of net art that goes back to 2003. Why have there been no great net artists? And it's a reference to a text by Linda Nochlin. She was a feminist theory, feminist artist from the 1970s who wrote this very provocative text called "Why Have There Been No Great Women Artists?" You know, and Steve Dietz in 2003, referring to the fact that net art has been around for many years. How come that nobody knows about these artists? And actually, it's about the same for female artists in the 1970s. They were around, but the conditions were not met for them to be known, you know, to go public. And there have been some attempts from digital media artists to go into the contemporary art world. One of the most famous examples to me would be what happened in the Venice Biennial in 2001. So the Venice Biennial is, of course, the place where everything happens, you know, around contemporary art. And you have these artists, Eva and Franco Matthes, who really created a virus, a computer virus that spread out, you know, from the pavilion where they were hosted, and that really went into all the computers that were connected. Once again, remember, we are in 2001, you know, so people were really scared about what is the internet, what is a computer virus and everything. And it's a very practical example of how digital media artists decided to really go into the contemporary art world on a metaphorical point of view, but also on a very practical point of view, since they designed this virus that was called, and of course it was humor, Bienal.py, because it was written in Python. It was a script that was written in that language. So that's to me a very interesting example. But for many years, from the mid-90s until today, you have on one side digital art, and then on the other side you have contemporary art, and they hardly never ever meet. Now, things started to change in the mid-2000s, I would say. Like in 2008, the artist and theoretician Marisa Olsson wrote this piece about the concept of post-internet. And this is when we started to talk about post-internet art, which means that in the mid-2000s, well, of course, the internet had been around for quite a while, and the fact that that some artists were using it as a medium had nothing really exceptional, nothing new. And more often you would see artists, digital artists working with the internet, working with digital networks, go into mainstream contemporary art exhibition, I would say. So the post-internet notion is something really important to me, because it really is a landmark. It changes things, you know, from for many years you had digital artists on one side, you had contemporary artists on the other side, but you know, with the post-internet, things really started to change. Now, the issue still remained the same, which is, if you are an artist and you are creating works online, how do you make money out of it? You know, how do you sell it? How do you, you know, interest collectors, art collectors, like, let's say, the ones buying, you know, big pieces by very famous contemporary artists? How can you get into it and make sure that what you do online, actually, you can sell it and you can make money out of it? And you have this very interesting artist, Raphael Rosendahl, who's, you know, really still around today, in a about the same, about the same time, like when Marisa Olsson came with this post-internet notion. He was already working online, creating websites, like his art pieces would be websites. So this is an example. It's called Electric Boogie Woogie. And it's a kind of homage, to Piet Mondrian, who did this piece, this painting in 1942 when he was in New York, called Electric Boogie Woogie. So if we look at his piece, this is what it looks like, right? I mean, this is the work online. It's still online, but you see what is really interesting is that if you look at, you have the title electricboogiewoogie.com, and you can tell here, if you look closely, that it belongs to a collection. It belongs to an art collection, which means that he was able to find a way to work online and make sure that people would buy his artworks. So what did he do? Well, actually, he had this idea to create a contract. All right, a contract that would be on paper, a contract that would also be on a CD-ROM or a DVD, I don't know exactly. And in that contract, the buyer would sign the fact that, yes, he would agree to pay for this website, and he would also pay to make sure that the domain name would remain available, which means that every year or every 3 years, depending on how you work, well, the collector has to pay to make sure that the domain name remains available, remains online, which means that the collector pays for something that everyone else can see. That's also something very important. It's still online, it's online. There is someone who's paying for it, but actually it's available for anybody. You, me, and the collector is exactly the same. Now, Raphael Rosendahl, of course, didn't invent everything from the scratch. Actually, his contract was based on something that was designed in the 1970s by Zed Siglau and Bob Projansky. Zed Siglau was a gallerist, he was also an artist, and he was very supportive of conceptual art. He's been working a lot with people like Josef Kossut and Lawrence Wiener, and Bob Projansky was a lawyer. And together they designed a contract that would allow conceptual artists to sell their works. Because what do you do? Like, this is a piece by Lawrence Wiener. How can you sell this, right? I mean, this is just a writing. You can see it on your screen, and if you like it, you can reproduce it in your living room, in your kitchen, in your bathroom, whatever. It doesn't matter. Lawrence Wiener has no problem about it. I have a tattoo on my left arm, and it's a tattoo that comes from a work by Lawrence Wiener, and I wrote about it to him, and he told me, yes, it's fine. You want to make a tattoo out of my work? It's okay. It's still a work of art, but it won't be a work by the artist. You are not the owner. Why? Because you don't have the certificate that says that, yes, you own the piece of art. So Raphael Rosendahl, with his digital art in the mid-2000s, did something that was already conceived in the 1970s by people like Zed Siglau and all these conceptual artists. And there have been many attempts, by digital artists to find a way to sell their works. Another example, which I really like, it's Michael Green, also a digital artist that was already around in the early 2000s. And he decided to go on eBay because this is in 2014 and eBay is so big, and everybody's talking about eBay. Yes, you have to imagine that there was a world before eBay. There was even a world before Google. Some of us remember it, but most of us don't. But eBay was so big that he thought, yeah, it would be funny because I am a digital artist. I'm creating things online, and let's go on eBay and try to sell an animated GIF. And this is the GIF that he designed, which was Cool Balloon Dog Deflated. And he tried to sell it for $5,000. $800. And this is what it looks like, because of course I saved it and made a copy out of it. So maybe it rings a bell, you know, it's actually a balloon dog, just like a very famous contemporary artist made, which of course is Jeff Koons. And the reason why the price was $5,800 is because at the same moment, Jeff Koons had sold his very famous balloon dog for $58 million. And so, you know, he thought it would be fun to somehow go make a connection between this animated GIF and Jeff Koons. So it was in 2014, and did Michael Green sell it? No, it didn't work. And it's really interesting to go back to this today, because he even kept the hate mail that he received from people laughing at him, saying, "Oh, you're trying to sell an animated GIF for 5,800 euros. You're completely crazy. Lol, you're funny. I guarantee no one is going to pay what you're asking for a fucking 3-second animated clip. Lol. In fact, someone already posted it on the net for free. And it's up for viewing anytime on the Daily Dot. Ha ha ha." Right? 2014, and bang, 2021. This is what happens. We have this completely unknown artist, someone who's been working in video clips or whatever, called Beeple. And this is what happens. He sells a piece. It's actually just a JPEG file, right? And he sells it at Christie's. You know, Christie's, this huge auction house. And he sells his artwork for 42,329 Ethereum, which was at the time worth, you can see it on the screen because this is a screen capture from the sale, nearly $70 million, you know, and there was 1 year ago, and people suddenly went completely nuts. And what was missing in the digital artwork compared to the contemporary artwork, which is the money, suddenly appeared, and suddenly a digital artist or a wannabe artist, whatever you want to call him, suddenly, you know, he was completely unknown the day before, and then he's selling his JPEG file, because it's just a JPEG file, for the same price as Jeff Koons sold his balloon dogs a few years before. So that was really a huge, massive event. And it was just 1 year ago. And since then, of course, everybody's talking about the NFTs. So what is an NFT? I think it's really important to underline that people mix two concepts together. There is the NFT on one side, and there is the crypto art on the other side. I think everybody knows today that an NFT compared to a Bitcoin, the difference is that one Bitcoin is worth another Bitcoin. An NFT is something completely different because it's a unique thing. It's a unique digital asset, something you cannot copy. One NFT is not equal to another. Everybody is aware of that. But when you talk about NFT today, actually you say, oh, NFT is crypto art. No, it's not. NFT, it's a digital asset that is linked to something. And that link can go to, yes, it can go to a JPEG file, a TIFF file, or a sound file, or whatever you want to. So when you look at this, usually this is a common representation of NFT. And of course, everybody's talking about Mona Lisa. You know, it's like, oh, you have Mona Lisa, you have a copy of Mona Lisa, but no, when you have the NFT, Mona Lisa, it's unique, blah, 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 whatever. This is most of the time the way we represent a crypto art linked to an NFT, but actually that's not it at all. It looks more like this. Yeah, sorry about the drawings. I drew the cloud myself yesterday night, so it doesn't look very good. So you have the blockchain, all right? You have the blockchain and you have your NFT. You buy the NFT, and the NFT points out to a cloud. It points out to the internet, and in that internet, you have the file. You have the JPEG file, or the sound, or the video, or whatever you want to. And it exists in, you know, an infinite number of copies, because you must be able to make sure that the link will always work. the NFT on the blockchain, just like a Bitcoin, just like an Ether, as long as the blockchain will survive, the NFT will be there. But the file, it exists on the internet. So you want to make sure that the link between the NFT and the file will remain always available. That's the most important thing to understand when you create a work. I mean, especially if you buy an NFT that is linked to a file like Beeple that is worth, you know, potentially $60 million, you want to make sure that the file will always be around. So on one side, you have the centralized system, like everything we use, like a Google Drive when you share, you know, you share a file, whatever. And on the other side, you have the IPFS, the Interplanetary File System, which is like a network within the network, right? It's like a peer-to-peer. I don't know who I'm talking to here, but let's say if I'm talking to people who were born before the 1980s, maybe you heard about Napster, you know, it's a peer-to-peer system. It's exactly the same. So if I download the file that people made, well, then I make it available for someone to come and collect it on my computer too. It's the IPFS, you know, it's exactly the same as the peer-to-peer system. It's the same concept. The file that is linked to the NFT must exist on the IPFS. It must exist. It's the only way you can be sure that the file will always remain available. Bit of technical issues here. On the top of the screen, you see just a screenshot from the sale at Christie's. You know, I was following that sale, I remember very well, so I just made a screenshot. You have the token ID, right? The token 40913. That is the token ID. The token lives on the Ethereum blockchain, right? That token points to a smart contract page, and that smart contract page gives us an address on the IPFS. You can tell the string IPFS and then all the string, which is actually a cryptographic hash. So if we follow that string, we reach a page that might look like this, and we have two HTTPS links, one that links to a preview media file, and the other one that leads to the raw media file, which means that if you really the concept is this: you have the token that points to an IPFS item that points to two links, a thumbnail and a full image. And there you go. If you copy paste the address that you see on the top of my screen, you can download the file that was made by Beeple. We're not talking about a copy. We're not talking about something that looks like it. We're not talking about something that might be like the original one. No, it's the file. It's really the file. And you can even check that it's the same file. And it's important you do so, because you can really check in 2 seconds the fact that the cryptographic hash that is in the blockchain and that is in the file are the same. So yes, you can have, and I do have on my computer, a file that was sold for $60 million. That's the concept. And if people tell you, oh no, but you know, when you buy an NFT, we store your file on our server, it's not an NFT. It doesn't work that way. The only way it could work is if you put it on the IPFS. Because if I copy paste this address in my browser, it could be any browser, it could be Firefox, it could be Safari, it could be Explorer, whatever. I'm not looking for an address. I'm looking for content. I'm looking for a file that exists somewhere on the internet, somewhere on the IPFS, that actually is that file. And it's the only way it can work. It's the only way you can be sure that 20 years from now, that token that you bought for $60 million will still link to a file that still exists on the internet. Let's take another example. Go back to 1996. French artist Fred Forrest, he was the very first one to actually create a file that would be sold online. That was his piece of art, the file that you see on the right of the screen. It was a file, a JPEG file, or I'm not even sure. Maybe it was an animation, but I'm not sure. But anyway, he did exactly what Beeple did in 2021. He went to an auction house. It was 1996. I mean, you have to imagine it was the very, very start of the internet, the internet for the broad public. Most people didn't even have the internet at home. So it was really a brilliant idea, something really strong. And, he said, okay, I'm the one who's going to sell online a piece of art that will live on the internet. And it was bought, for it was quite a large amount of money. I don't remember the price exactly, but I mean, considering the time, it was already a large amount of money. And two people bought it. They had a startup company, and they thought it would be great to buy this piece because they were working. They were trying to live on the internet, and they say, okay, we will be the first collectors to buy something that only lives on the internet. And what they bought actually was a contract, with an address, and the address would point to a server, and on that server was the artwork. But the problem is they went bankrupt. Their company went bankrupt, and then they had to sell all their equipment, like their servers, all their computers, and everything. And on one of these servers was the artwork. And it's gone forever now. I talked to Fred Forrest about it, and he told me, yes, I know it's really strange, but the very, very first work online ever has disappeared forever. Why? Because it was hosted on a server. And now you understand why it's so important that there is a connection between the NFT, the blockchain, and the IPFS, the peer-to-peer system. It's to avoid the fact that if you host your file on a .com server, and if that .com goes bankrupt, there goes your file. So this is really important to understand. And that system, actually, this idea to link the NFT to the IPFS arrived in two very precisely. We know exactly what day, we know exactly what time in 2014, the artist Kevin McCoy and the computer designer Anil Nash had this idea to create it. They were actually trying to find a way for digital artists to make money out of their works, and the blockchain was around, Bitcoin was around, and over one night they came with this idea. They say, oh, we have the blockchain on one side and we have the file on the other. Why not make a connection? And nothing has changed since then. I mean, what they designed in 2014 is still exactly the same today. And this is the very first piece of crypto art that you see on the screen. It's called iQuantum. And this was designed by Kevin McCoy and Anil Nash as the very, very first NFT. But Anil Nash is very bitter about what happened, because what he says, we designed this because we wanted to, the digital artists, the online artists, to find a way to make money out of their work. But we were not at all thinking about speculation like we see it today with these people, buying the Bored Ape yacht clubs or the crypto kitties or the crypto punks or whatever. No, they wanted to find a solution, for fair use, to say, okay, what about digital artists? How could we find a way? At the same time, if you remember, Raphael Rosendahl had this idea, that they came with something very interesting, because compared to a paper contract or a contract that has been recorded on a CD-ROM, the blockchain is something that you cannot change. So the idea was very good, but they were not at all expecting what happened afterwards. It's all the speculation around it. So lots of memes, of course, on the internet about this concept that I'm discussing right now, the fact that, yes, your CryptoPunk, your CryptoKitty, or your Beeple file, yes, it is on the internet, and yes, you can download it anytime. Anyone can download it, anyone can have it on his computer. So yeah, this is a meme I really like, NFT creators, when I right click and save image as, oh, you can do this to me. But of course, that's not the point. We understand, or we don't, the fact that actually it's just a new way of collecting. You know, people who have cryptocurrencies, Bitcoins, Ethereum, whatever, to them it's just another way to use their cryptocurrencies, and they're part of the community. You know, they're part of the people who actually bought the Bored Ape Yacht Club, or they bought the CryptoKitties or the CryptoPunks or whatever. It's a completely different concept. You know, even for me, I mean, I would say, especially for me, because I come from the contemporary art world, I'm a museum conservator, I'm a contemporary art curator. Yes, it's a concept that is difficult to understand, but this is it. You have to understand, and you have to admit the fact that your file, yes, it exists and it can be downloaded anytime. So what do you want to do? If
Pierre, I'm sorry for interrupting you. We are like 5 minutes away from our like schedule. If we can, like 1 minute for you or 2 maximum for us to finish, because we have other speakers waiting also.
Okay, right, that will be okay. That's really short because I had lots of things to do, but it's okay, I'll try. So you can do this, or you can, you know, go back and, you know, create something and think more about the what can you do with the blockchain. Like you have Ria Meyers, and she's an artist who creates, you know, conceptual art. She sells you an NFT, and you decide if this contract is art or if it's not art. When you resell the NFT, you change it. It's art, it's not art. You have Serhii Melnichenko, you know, like Bitcoin. You buy a Bitcoin from Serhii Melnichenko, and actually it refers to a piece of 100 photographs. So if you buy the Bitcoin 100 euros, you buy a piece of a photo. But if the photo is worth 1 million euros, then okay, you're rich, you made money, you know. You have, yes, Kevin Abosch, for instance, you know, he makes this, he creates his own cryptocurrency with his own blood, you know, he makes works on paper. He created this work with Ai Weiwei, where they created their own currency. So you have lots of examples. You know, this one I really like, Anna Ridlow. You buy the NFT, and actually it's a small video, but after 1 week you cannot see it anymore. Why? Because it's like a tulip, you know, it's like a flower. After a week, so it comes with an idea. So yeah, this one unfortunately I'm pretty sure you're aware of. You know, Ukrainian Meta History Museum of War that actually linked, you know, Twitter messages about the war in Ukraine with artworks, you know, using what the blockchain is all about. But let's not forget, you know, that the price that was paid, 70 million euros, well, actually today, the same amount is worth only, I don't know, I think the same amount of money is worth like 40 million euro. Okay, this is the sum, 48 million euros. So this artwork has lost 30% of its value within 1 year. So it's highly speculative. And let's not forget the ecological impact. You know, just the CryptoKitties, you know, you need 4 million trees, you know, to offset the carbon cost of collection. So if you do something with the blockchain, which is a great technology, which can help you, you know, create certificate and everything, just make sure it's really something important, something interesting, and not just one, you know, again, a Bored Ape Yacht Club or whatever. And I'm done with that.
Okay, thank you so much for being with us. I'm very sorry we have not much time for
of course,
presentation. That was really interesting, and I hope that we can meet someday on other presentation, workshop, or anywhere where we can like talk to everybody and with our participants as well. Thank you so much.
Very welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, dear friends, I hope that you're still with us. If you're not with us, please come back. In front of us, we've got 2 more slots. Important people. First of all, another speaker who is from experience, he's going to speak how he worked with NFTs. Secondly, we'll raise the curtain on the mantras that will be accompanying the teams and the single participant during the hackathon. Without any further ado, dear friends, we've got our next speaker. He's a photographer, lecturer, part of the UPHA, Ukrainian Photo Alternative, Serhii Melnichenko, who's been doing photography since 2009. It's a long time. He's going to speak about how and why he's creating NFTs. I think this experience will be valuable for you and relevant to your creative ideas. Let's greet Serhii.
Serhii, привіт.
Greetings, Serhii. We cannot hear you. You're muted. Innovation technologies can be tough for some people, right? Can you hear me? Yes, we can see you. We can hear you. It's wonderful. The floor is yours. Please tell us about your experience. How do you work with NFT? We're willing to hear. We make us want NFTs more. I will share my screen at once. Greetings, everyone. My name is Serhii Melnichenko. I'm a photographer. I've been doing it for 13 years, and this year, I think last year, to be precise, I've opened up NFT. I've discovered NFT. I couldn't really understand what that is. I started understanding better, wanted to figure it out. And last year, I started joining the NFT world, but not with photography, but with animation. My friend and I, with my colleague Valeriia Panina, he's an animator, 3D artist. He started creating such animations based on his works. We started these things and published them as NFTs. For me, it was some kind of an attempt, a play, an attempt to understand what that is. We didn't put any effort apart from making this animation and publishing it via OpenSea, right? As many other artists who started with OpenSea, that is an open platform for NFT artists. So we started publishing our edition. We have 5 copies of each NFT. They were really cheap. Some have been sold. It was just for fun. Then I realized that without Twitter, like you understand, without Twitter, it does not work. I started doing promotion of my NFT. Started launching a product for sure. Photos, animations. It was in winter. I think it's since February I started doing it. I think 2-3 weeks before, maybe a month before the full-scale war. I joined the NFT world with my series. It's an OpenSea platform. It was a collection containing 50 select works. My photos in China, which I've done in 2017. It's street photos. I've made lots of projects. I joined OpenSea because this platform allows to publish many works. I've published 50 photos, black and white street photos. What happened? At the same time, I started creating another series from China called Behind the Scenes, but on this foundation, first sales 2-3 weeks before the full-scale war, had a couple of pictures from black and white series and 3 works from the Chinese series Behind the Scenes. It was I had an amazing impression. I didn't really understand what that was. I started promoting it on Twitter. Apart from gaining some financial gain, I started receiving this moral pleasure because start understanding, start joining this community, meeting like-minded people, interesting photographer, artists from all over the world, collectors, collectioners. I started spending more time on Twitter, posting my works, my tweets.
Якось активно розвиватися. Ну, на жаль.
It started actively developing. Unfortunately, you cannot ignore it. On the 24th of February, when the war in Ukraine broke out, all the community, all the NFT community, collectioners, authors from Ukraine and abroad, they started promoting Ukrainian artists and photographers and helping them. For your understanding, I don't know if you've spoken about this. The collectioners, since February 24th, they started purchasing works. While I was moving my family to the Western Ukraine, every 15-20 minutes, my works have been sold from this black and white China. It was 0.5, 0.1 Ethereum. When our journey took 36 hours from Mykolaiv, my series, 50 works from the series have been sold, and behind the scenes, some works were sold. When we reached Western Ukraine, we were able to relax a little. So I realized that it's a good chance to do something useful via empty.
Це було, я не пам'ятаю, зараз я скажу, це було
It dawned upon me. It was on the 27th of February. It dawned upon me that I can actually publish a series of photos and sell it for the benefit of our country, for the benefit of the support to our people, for the armed forces, and so on. I published my full series, this military commissariat, when it was the series from the 2014, when Russia first invaded Ukraine. The series contains 14 works. It was published on OpenSea. In 1 hour, the entire series was sold. In total, it was 2.8 Ethereum, according to that exchange rate.
Це було $8,000.
$8,000. So I said that from the sum, I will not take a penny. I'm giving the entirety of the sum to these collectors, which I tagged and said thank you to them. They purchased the entire series, this military commissariat, and the entirety of $8,000 from this sale were transferred. I transferred them to different purposes, for the armed forces, to the support IDPs, to people who lost their homes. All $1,000 within 1 month they were sent to important causes. Also, I received assistance from my friends, collectors, artists, photographers from all over the world. So the sum is more significant right now. It's $21,000, which I've managed to donate for Ukrainian causes. But apart from the collection that we've done with our students, what am I speaking about? NFTs.
Повномасштабного вторгнення.
So the full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24th, NFTs was a weapon that is helping us. So we're selling our works to assist people and the army of Ukraine and make our victory come faster, right? I think it was in March, yes, I decided to make a collection of my students. I've got this myth school.
Я побачив такий один факт, що
I've
ми всі
identified this fact that we do understand that
дуже багато по світу внимання
all over the
до
world there was lots of attention towards Ukrainian art, to the photographer, artists, lots of exhibitions held, lots of works of Ukrainian author have been exhibited, sold. That's what we've done too, but with such a subtext that 100% from the sale goes to charitable foundations and stuff. It was really weird because photographers, artists, they are Ukrainians, they are located, they are at war, many of them have lost work, their occupation, many of them have become IDPs, they were displaced, they relocated to other countries. So my goal, first and foremost, was to help my students. We have lots of students. So we launched this collection, which contained 333 photographers, 80, 90 authors from all over Ukraine. As of now, we've sold 4.4 artwork worth of artwork, so 50% or more. I'm telling authors, if you have the need in funds, you can donate as much as you find necessary, right? 50% or less. Most of them donate 50% or even more percent for the armed forces, to the people who need these funds. Thanks to NFT, in the times of war, we can do lots of important work and provide this assistance. Why NFT is cool? That is my mantra. What I like about NFT, I joined NFT back in February. Right now,
на Foundation, на Super Air, на
on OpenSea, Super Air, Sloids.
Дуже вже community.
Got a great community, lots of interesting people, collectors. I also like the fact that how NFT is connected to physical world.
IRL.
How it's connected to the IRL in the real world concept. Lots of things. These are the photos from my exhibition from the metaverse. As a photographer with a more classical experience, I really like when NFTs go to the real world, physical world. Recently, thanks to the Crypto Art UA, thanks in particular Nikita Khudyakov, I'm really grateful to him. In Zurich, we had this charitable auction with Ukrainian photographers and artists, this NFT auction. Also, some physical art was sold. Within this, my work from the Chinese series behind the scenes was sold for 0.88 Ethereum. It was $1,700. It was a charity auction. 50% of the proceeds went to the Swiss Foundation for rebuilding Ukraine after the war. What is the most important thing which I love? That thanks to this auction, I met the organizer, Michelle. We've seen her in Photo Basel. When I was making my exhibition, I really like how NFT is connected and crosses with the real world. I have lots of examples. Thank you to Nikita Khudyakov. In Hanover, an exhibition for Ukrainian artists has been, this was an NFT exhibition in Hanover. That's my series of these meta heroes participated there. I love how it looks. I really love that people can come to a physical exhibition and see NFT and watch them, which are located in the metaverse. It's a very interesting concept. Interesting how these two worlds are crossing. Another interesting example, in March, a Japanese gallery from Tokyo decided to support. They launched a personal exhibition for me, Young and Free, and Meta Heroes. The DC project had been represented there. Guys visited it, guys with a website where NFT collectors publish their purchased works, photos, art, paintings. They came to this exhibition in Japan. They saw my work, said, "Oh my goodness, we've seen at some collector's website that is gallery.so." And then we've communicated with them. They wrote me that yes, they remember these works, they saw them. Yeah, that's great that we've attended this exhibition. I love how it all works, how it all interconnected. It's really great because NFT gives new conditions, new opportunities for meeting people, new circles, new contacts, connections, acquaintances. And these pre-NFT exhibitions, thanks to NFT, they are doubled. Of course, you need to work on it, you need to promote yourself, develop your Twitter, meet people, and be part of the community. In NFT, the most important thing is not to be a cool artist that you used to be before. It doesn't really work always. It's not necessary, but what is important is to be part of the community, to be active, to have visibility, to see that you're working, and then people will pay attention to you. That is confirmed by Artem Gomilevsky, my student. This project is a great example of that. He became part of the NFT community just with me. We joined Twitter. It was in February 2022, but he has only a couple. One of those projects is the most important one. Is a becomes booming business because he's winning many competitions. It's published in magazines. It's published everywhere. It's very authentic. It's very ironic, open, sincere. It's auto portraits. It's called The Giant. He became the finalist of the Pinchuk Art Center Award. He sold 10 Ethereum's worth of his works. It's a collection from 50 works. I think 10, 15 of them have been sold, right? That is really great. And even for young artists, they don't have a big name in the physical world. They can actually make a name in the NFT world. And then via that, they can come back to the physical world and become popular, attend festivals, fairs, and be popular there. To summarize, in the end, I'd like to add that I'm a photographer. Lately, through the past weeks, within the past weeks, I was really thrilled by a number of amazing works of generative, degenerative art. I decided that on object.com, on the thesis, by selling my works, I've published. I don't want this money to leave it for myself. I want to invest into a purchase of the art. We've got animations, we've got some digital art. I want to be part of the community. I want to help artists. I want to purchase their works. I'd like to purchase things that I cannot do myself. This is the type of art that I'm not capable of. I would want to, but when it joins my collection, I feel myself thrilled. It's great pleasure to have this work in my collection. That's another part of the NFT. You can feel yourself not only an artist, you can feel yourself a collector too, you know.
Serhii, дуже дякую.
Thank you, Serhii. We're bombarded with questions. I think we need to have a separate Q&A session with you for you to share this experience. That's the story when there's a live person that you can grab and interrogate how it was. So 2 questions that I'd like to ask, if you don't mind. First of all, this legal story, but do you need to get a permission from a person to create an NFT? How was it implemented with this Chinese collection? Let me expand on this question. For example, if it's your work, you take a picture, you're the author, you got the author's right. But if you take a portrait of a person, if there are people who want to be in this photo, you have to get a permission of a person that you're taking a picture of. Yet, just like with the physical world, when I upload works, I know that on the stock picture, you need to get a permission from every person. With NFT, it's not the same. With the series of works, I've got a book, lots of exhibitions all over the world with these street photos that I've published. In fact, with NFT, there is no element that you need to add some contract or some model release or something, you know. In fact, many artists are publishing street photos. I don't think they all have some contracts or agreement. Street photography, that's the essence of the street photography you need. For example, if you take a personal picture to have experience, I have experience, I've published in the final series, not from my experience, but based on experience of my colleague photographers. I think it's better to have, if you've got models or friends, it's better to have a contract or some model releases. Quite recently, my friend model saw that he was publishing photos for some Ethereum fee. She discovered she demanded some money from this sale. This thing, you need to basically talk to this person and sign a contract. I heard a story. I have recently sold a work for 0.75 Ethereum. It was $1,300, but my friend was on the picture. You couldn't see him, there's just a silhouette. I donated to him because that was my will to do it, my decision, 25% from this work, because his relatives are in the zone of military action. That was my initiative. NFT is a thing that helps me helping people and in these difficult times, like right now. In reality, says Anastasia, when we thought about Hatathon, when we were thinking what would be the topic of this, the intention was the same, to help people, for them to get visibility for the war in Ukraine, to show events of Ukraine via art, make themselves popular, but also to earn money, earn their living, because we understand that creative arts, they are in difficult times right now too. Question about Twitter, lots of questions about Twitter. As a person, I've been in Twitter since 2010, but I started using Twitter since February 24th for real. I was reading the news there, so question is the following. How were you able to promote yourself? What kind of techniques worked? And sub-question, do you have separate Twitter accounts for every project, or is your personal account where you publish all your projects? in reality, I've got one account on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, where I promote my product. Promoting Twitter is a very peculiar topic. Some people might have 20,000 subscribers in a month. Some people might be a little bit slower, depends on a person, their attitude. Sometimes you're burnt out. If 24/7, like many people, you're on Twitter and there is no result, it's not helping you to sell interviews. That affects your psyche. You start being depressed, thinking that your art is really bad, nobody needs it. But that is silly. Just need to move forward. Forget about that. It's going to be okay. You need to do something with pleasure. Enjoy Twitter. It's an Instagram, not Facebook. You should show yourself, your life, your art, and at the same time, publish your NFT project and speak about it as much as possible. Thank you, says Anastasia. It was very inspiring, and I'm not insinuating anything, but we need a Q&A session with you. I'd be happy to. Somebody will come for your soul, but yeah. Thank you, Serhii. I'm wishing you a wonderful evening. I'm wishing you no bombardments by the Russians. Thank you. See you soon. So, dear friends, but last but not least, we have 3 more people that I'd like to talk to. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fast, but you need to hear these representatives of a separate link of our hackathon, namely the mentors. Allow me to invite 3 people. Kirill Chumakov, CEO of Eureka Language Center, then Alina Sharbina, Head of Talent Marketing and Events at Innovex, and Nikita Khudyakov, that has been mentioned previously, founder of the Crypto Art Ukraine. Dear friends, join in.
Привет.
Greetings, everyone. Everyone is black. What happened? Why are you wearing black? You got war going on or something? Dear friends, let's meet. I've introduced you. I've not introduced your roles. I said that you're all mentors, but we've got team mentors, expert mentors. Let's talk to you about your intentions. What are we going to do at this hackathon? What are the participants going to do with you? In turn, please say a few words about yourselves. Who are you? And let's start with Nikita. Greetings. I'm greeting from Uzhgorod. I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I create and sell my art via NFT. I collect art via NFT. I'd like to greet the organizers with the beginning of the Hatathon 3.0. It's very important to have these big projects that engage new people to the NFT world. I'd like to say that NFT is just the beginning of immersing into this bigger Web 3.0, new money, new property, new communities, new culture, new opportunities, right? Exactly. Great that the cultural sector, creative industries, thanks to its creativity, they showed how they can be used, how these technologies can be used for the victory of goodness. The most important thing in Web3 is this community. I'm part of this crypto I founded Crypto Art Ukraine 3 years ago. I know how important this space for mutual assistance, meeting people, support during the wartime. We have become even more united as a community. We managed to build this team, raise funds, provide the artists with the psychological support. We've got a psychologist. We provide financial support for living, for restoration of their practice. The community has an English teacher for the artist to be able to self-present. In Crypto Art Ukraine, we have lots of projects, exhibition, auctions in different countries, in metaverse, and due to activity of these artists. In this hackathon, we'd like to share this experience of creating this community and developing. We'd like to invite creative people to Crypto Art Ukraine. If you're here to stay in NFT, Hatathon is great start for people who do not have any experience with NFT, but for people who are versed in NFT, that is an opportunity for networking, for meeting new people. And tomorrow and on Wednesday, we'll have lectures on various types of creation and marketing of NFT. And since Twitter is the most popular NFT related network, on Wednesday we'll have Twitter Space where you can present yourselves, your ideas, find like-minded people, get some feedback from the community. The links will be in the announcement channel in Slack. If you have any questions, you can book me as an expert, but in general, we need to ask this question in Slack. Meet people, experiment. I'm wishing you resilience, and let's win. Let's have our victory. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Alina, what would you say? You're all in black. With the coding, I've got code. You have prepared perfectly. Greetings, everyone. I'm Alina Sherbina. I'm not really versed. I know nothing about NFT. I'm a team mentor, but I can show you how to build a team, how to manage networking, how to join communities, what to do with all these smart people who are in these communities. I would be able to, on telemarketing, how to build teams. I have a big experience in events, both offline and online. If you conduct like exhibitions or something similar, I can help you. Anything related to motivation, operational activity, you can address me. I believe we'll 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 have tighter communication with a specific team that I'll be working with. So I'm happy to greet you. You're in firm, reliable hands. Nastya and the company, they're high-level specialists. If it wasn't for these horrible events, Nastya would have been preparing hackathon for our company in Novak. So wishing you luck and wishing you not only useful, but also good time. You have to use every opportunity possible. And Sophia says, I'd like to add regarding these team mentors. The thing is that in this hackathon, just like during the previous hackathons, all the team mentors are working as a couple. Lena will be joined by another mentor. So the main task of the team mentors is to direct the team, give them motivation, support them, assist them, encourage them, coach them, help with marketing, building strategies, pushing them, kicking their backside, motivating people, making them dig deeper, look for mentors, working on their activity. During the previous hackathons, I wouldn't say it was like a betting company, but lots of mentors. Were arguing, betting, not money bets. It's going to be our team. We should be the best. It was a friendly competition. We'll have 5-10 teams, I think, based on the amount of participants. Just like you love it, knowing your passion for establishing communities, I will not be surprised that crypto art will be joined by 10 participants. Alina is going to have 10 teams. Stay with me. Community is a separate, I have a separate part of my heart for community. It's important for self-development, being mentor, being participant, being a volunteer. It's one love for me. That's true, said Anastasia. So, Kirillov, I'll say briefly, greetings. I've briefly heard that the beginning of the introduction of myself. I've heard the part that's related to me being CEO of the Eureka Language Center. I didn't hear what was next. Yes, speak about yourself, please. I'm candidate for economic sciences. Apart from business, I do sciences too. At the same time, I'm a head of the academic business incubator. This thing started working a couple of years ago, and it was successful because we need to share the knowledge about development of business among the younger generation. People are conscious, some are not. So this year, why I'm so interested in participating in Hatathon for the second time, because we have this direction, development of artists. So in the future, I want to apply the knowledge that I will gain here to develop this department, this direction in our educational facility in particular. In fact, it's a great pleasure to be part of Hatathon for the second time. Last year, it was devoted to culture and creative industries. I was expert mentor. It was closer to my expertise. This year, I wanted to join this festivity. This year, I'm a team mentor. Just like Alina, as a hobby, I'm developing communities too. Academic, business communities, that is my sphere. I help young entrepreneurs to develop, search themselves, find themselves. Lots of things have been said about NFTs as a object of art. A very aspect of NFT that has not been used, use of NFT in business, because perspectives are really good in terms of coding, assigning uniqueness to some items. It's very perspective, promising technology. It is a very promising technology in the world, in many, many areas and spheres, not only in art. Cool. Yeah. You've mentioned a very important thing. The participants, don't be surprised that among the mentors, we've got people who have not faced NFT directly, who have not worked this sphere. In fact, that's why we have two types of mentors. Every mentor has specific expertise. We've got experts have this specific expertise. Team mentors are supporting, inspiring, motivating, telling you where to dig, how to find what you're looking for. Also, we got educational program which is open for everyone. Dear friends, yes, we pre-planned this air for 2 hours. I'm willing to talk to you for 40 minutes more. We'll have this opportunity. We have 2 weeks of work. It's going to be a fruitful work. We'll talk to you, that's for sure. Please tell me a couple of words. What would be your wishes to the teams in these difficult times? Because creative industry people, technical specialists during the times of war, they don't have strength and resilience to be creative, to step out of the comfort zone, even to obtain new information and process it and apply it. Maybe say a couple of inspiring words. What would be your wishes for the teams? Just like we began in that order, please. I'd like to wish you not to be afraid to ask simple questions. Don't be afraid to ask simple questions. Bad question is the answer that you have not asked. Even if there has been an explanation, but you still do not understand some aspect, ask a question. You can ask a question in your team, you can ask an expert, you can ask a speaker, the organizer. So that's the first thing. The second wish is, it has been mentioned, community. Community is a resource. We all know, jointly we know more than the sum of our separate types of knowledge. So in creative projects, it's critically important. If you don't have a good atmosphere and communication in your team and within the community in your project, you will not receive sufficient. You will lose some opportunities, some information, some networking. So introverts is great. Extroverts have this opportunity. Even introverts can actually communicate in the most convenient way, one-on-one via chats, for example. NFT space and marketing communication. It's not only about video communications, video calls. It can be an individual one-on-one communication. But without communication, I believe that it's going to be difficult to engage people to your project. For the attention, it's a very important research for the NFT sphere. Thank you, says Anastasia. In other words, be proactive, right? I hope that I have not stolen any wish. Alina, what would you like to say? I agree with the things mentioned by the previous speaker. I've got a very philosophical wish for you. You said that you might have the stagnation.
І знаєш, я згадала, коли ми перші 2 тижні, я у Києві знаходжуся, була у Києві, і коли ми перші 2 тижні жили на паркінгу і підіймались у квартиру лише там поїсти, помитися, якісь базові речі зробити, ти знаєш, я зрозуміла одне, коли як не зараз, бо ми не знаємо, чи буде у нас, скільки у нас часу, і якщо я піднімалась в квартиру і я хотіла почистити зуби, я їх йшла і чистила, а не гортала новини. Тому якщо ви хотіли піти в NFT, або ви шукали якісь нові шляхи для розвитку, нові креативи, то ми не знаємо, чи буде у нас це завтра. І якщо ви це хочете, робіть це зараз. І взагалі все, що ви хочете, робіть зараз. Задавайте питання зараз. Ви отримуєте дуже великий доступ до, знову повторюсь, до величезного ком'юніті. Це і всі ми, і наші контакти. Ніхто не відміняв теорію там 5 рукостискань. Тобто зараз ви можете отримати взагалі любий контакт, любий доступ і все. Головне, скористайтесь цією можливістю зараз, не відкладайте на потім, і все в нас буде добре.
Дуже дякую тобі. Кирило, твоє
побажання. Я буду коротенько. По-перше, в мене таке дуже щире побажання до усіх, щоб вони змогли у повній мірі скористатися тією можливістю, от саме можливістю, яка їм надається за участю у цьому івенті. І друге, я думаю, що всі будуть за, щоб наступного року після перемоги ми зустрілися вже офлайн.
Ой, просто взяв і на такий мозоль надавив зараз нам, як організаторам, ну, типу, от взагалі, да, але я повністю погоджуюся, треба вірити в це, що ми зможемо перемогти, як це, ковід ми вже там перемогли, кажуть, ну, принаймні в Україні так точно, як там він, дуже слухаємо за новинами про ковід, от, краще вже він, ніж війна, але тим не менше, друзі, Дуже дякую вам за те, що ви долучилися до нас. Зустрінемось з вами протягом цих 2 тижнів плідної роботи з учасниками. І тоді чекаємо вас, а ви вже є в Slack, тобто будемо на зв'язку там. Дуже дякую вам, що долучилися. Гарного вам вечора. Друзі, я не знаю, що сказати. Насправді, за ці 2,5 години, які ми з вами провели разом, знаєте, на деякий час не те, що забуваєш там, да, про те, що на вулиці йде війна, але...
I know that there's war going on, but it gives you warmth. I'm really happy that thanks to this event, we were able to unite again and have this smaller community. We've got fewer people, but with this understanding that anything that we're doing, things that we're going to do today, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, thank you to the armed forces of Ukraine that we can do this. What we're doing to achieve victory for our country, to keep our minds normal, to protect our relatives and close ones. All of your questions that we have not answered in the chat, please write to the community manager Natalia via Slack. We will react to that quickly. Tomorrow you have this educational program. Then online attendance spots are limited, but we have this recording after the lecture, so you can view this recording. Please, if you're going to be the first one, you're going to take your spot. If not, you're going to miss it. You can go via guidelines, via the website, or the links. It's going to be separate Zooms for beginners, separate Zoom meetings for advanced participants. We'll send it to the chat, to the announcement, to the Slack. As always, questions via Slack, that's the only format of communication for us, with the exception of this incident when you have to talk to a mentor one-on-one, okay? I'd like to say thank you that you spend these hours with us. I'd like to wish you inspiration. I'd like to wish you success in your creative beginnings, creative works. I want to wish you to find yourself in your new technology. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Be proactive, please. Grasp this opportunity. Communicate, develop your creative capacities, develop your community, register on Twitter and start posting there. That is going to be very relevant for you. I'm wishing you, wherever you are, I'm wishing you a quiet, calm night. I believe in our victory. I believe that with every day, it's closer and closer to this victory. We believe in the armed forces of Ukraine, and glory to Ukraine.